Hello. Hello, everybody. Cool. Hello. Hello. Wow, it works. Woo! Hello, everybody. Um, thanks to everybody for showing up again. Or if this is your first time here, thanks for showing up for the first time. This is the 125th meetup. That's a lot of meetups. And as it's a sort of round number, that's always fun. But as always, when we start these events, in the spirit of reconciliation, the Melbourne AWS user group acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and the connections to land, sea and community. Our in-person meetup is being held on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and we wish to acknowledge them as traditional owners of this land. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. In addition to the acknowledgement of country, I also want to point everybody at our code of conduct. This is a short version, there's a longer version on the website. Basically, it comes down to be nice to each other. That's the most important thing. If you feel like somebody is violating this code of conduct, please contact myself or one of the other organizers who you will see at some point on the stage here. Also, just plugs, if you want to see more of us, want to keep up to date with things we do, we have a website, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Mastodon, technically speaking, we're on Twitter, but, well, it's not that great a place anymore. Then, our agenda today. We'll start with the introductions, which is the part I'm doing now. As I didn't introduce myself, hi, I'm Arjen. I'm one of the organizers here. After that, we'll have Jason and Dawn telling us what's new in AWS, followed by Nathan, who will ask you to crash his app. Well, that sounds like fun. And then we have Matt speaking, who doesn't want the job anymore. And as always, we end the evening with a marketplace segment, which is a who's hiring segment, where if you're looking for people to join you, hold up your hand and somebody will come with the microphone. And then after that, you can socialize a little bit, but we'll all go home. Obviously, if you have questions during the talks, please do so. If you are following us on the live stream, you can ask those questions in Slack or in the YouTube channel, on YouTube live stream, and we will ask them for you. I also want to thank our sponsors, our gold sponsor CMD, as well as our silver sponsors Versant and Civo. And of course, our venue sponsor NAP provide this lovely place where we are. Without all of these sponsors, their support and money, we wouldn't be able to hold these events. Or it would cost us personally a lot of money. I mentioned Slack before. You can join us in a Slack group. We've got 900-ish people in there. Discussions go from anything AWS related, obviously, but it's fun to be in there. If you can ask questions, we have different channels for jobs as well. Outages, where if something goes wrong in a region we care about, we can discuss things there. Side note, the Melbourne region still hasn't had an outage, so we're way better than Sydney. It's also a good place to follow all the announcements, so we're always looking for people to help us out. Our sponsorships are covered for this year, so that's not issue, but we are always looking for people who want to talk at our meetup. If you want to talk to us, if you want to give a talk, and I believe each and every one of you is capable of giving an interesting talk, please reach out to one of us, or there's a form on the website. You can talk to us in person tonight or on Slack, whatever. That's the main thing we want. We are always looking for speakers. There's never enough of them. Upcoming events. We have AWS Reinforced coming, which will be right next to Disneyland, apparently. It will be on the 13th and 14th of June. Tickets are on sale right now. Is anybody here going, planning to go? Maybe? Okay. One maybe. How about this one? ReInvent. Tickets are not open yet, not available yet, but you can sign up to get announcements, to get an email when the tickets go on sale. This will be in Las Vegas. Anybody planning to go here? Hopefully, maybes. It's a long, expensive trip, I know. It's a lot of fun, yes. Make sure to take painkillers for the hangovers. I mean, for the hangovers from all the knowledge you've accumulated. Obviously, I would never think that any of us would have alcohol in Las Vegas. Cool. I am missing a slide here. Closer to home, on the 25th of May is the Serverless Meetup back. They don't have speakers yet. They have a location. It is at the Mentor Group office, which is why I know, because I work there. They're looking for speakers, so talk to them. They're not here, but online. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dawn and Jason to discuss the news. Thank you.
There we go. I think all the tech is working. Hello once again. Once again, I have 0 hands. Once again, we are here to talk to you about what's new in AWS this month. Back to the old, not improved format of 2 of us, because Matt will be talking to us later about how he doesn't want a job anymore. Okay. So, finally in Melbourne.
Yes, this is, we love having this one on here now. So, EventBridge Scheduler, we've got service quotas. So yeah, that was that was nice to get. No longer having to just do that through the support call. Various Graviton 2 based instances.
Yeah, that's nice that one's finally showed up in Melbourne, because if I recall correctly, that and the GPU based instances were the 2 points where Sydney was actually running out of instances.
Yep. EFS. So yeah, that's very handy for all our Linux peoples.
Yep.
The
Guard duty.
Guard duty. And AWS backup.
Make this one make sense. The Melbourne region did not ship with guard duty, but it did ship with simple workflow service. Make that make sense.
Everyone needs SWF, right? Okay, maybe not. But yes, I was particularly happy. Along with guard duty, that should guard duty and security hub should be no-brainers. Yes. But AWS backup, that was. You've got your EC2s. You want to be able to protect them. So that was nice to see.
Yes.
And there's a finally in Sydney.
Amazon Athena for Apache Spark. Cool. That's a thing. Great.
All right. So on to our what's new. So
in serverless, I think AWS might actually have managed to keep up with a release cycle in releasing Python 3.10 for Lambda. And I remember this one is always fun because a lot of the control tower Lambda functions are based on Python, and there have been occasions where the Python version has actually become obsolete before AWS has updated the control tower Lambda functions. So I do hope that this will shortly be followed by an update of the control tower Lambda functions to Python 3.10.
Yep. And SAM CLI support for local testing of API Gateway Lambda authorizers.
Yes, this is very, very good. If you want to basically run an API gateway which people have to authenticate and authorize to use, you can now build, you can build that using the SAM CLI, but you can now test your API gateway's authentication locally. This is really good because it saves you the money as well. Not that it's necessarily a large cost, but it saves you the cost of having to test those things in a dev environment. It also, it's one more, it's basically one less logistical step which has to happen to be able to get that stuff rolled out. So that's brilliant.
Yep. Containers. So yeah, EKS and EKS Destro now support Kubernetes 1.26.
Which is great because Kubernetes version 127 has just been released. So in this case, AWS is still one version behind the release cycle.
And ECS Fargate supporting ephemeral storage for Windows tasks. So
that's another one that another one referring back to last month where there were a lot of these announcements. One where I'm surprised it didn't do this already. I've never actually used Windows Fargate. I'm very surprised that it didn't do this already.
Yep. So now when you launch it, you can have ephemeral storage.
Yeah, for any people running Windows workloads out there, go give that a try.
Networking ingress TLS inspection for network firewalls. So yeah, that's it's probably the bane of my existence for one of our customers. Not so much AWS network firewall, but ingress inspection.
The one that's interesting to me here is VPC Lattice's general availability. That took less than 6 months because that was a ReInvent announcement. So that was announced at the beginning of December. We are now at the end of April.
Yeah.
Well done, AWS.
Very quick for a ReInvent announcement. Very
quick for a ReInvent announcement. VPC Lattice is an absolutely brilliant tool. Basically, we've discussed the things that VPC Lattice allows you to do before. It enables a whole bunch of functionality around cross-AWS account networking, cross-region networking. If you have a legacy setup where your CIDR ranges were not properly planned, before you had to do a whole lot of rearranging and fiddling around to get the networking to work, and even then it didn't work half the time. Now you can just make VPC Lattice do all of the work for you. It's absolutely brilliant. I have played around with it. It does exactly what it says on the tin. That and many, many more things. Go use VPC Lattice. Really, it will vastly simplify all of your networking.
Yep, yeah, great for your multi-account strategies and all those sorts of...
Once you're getting to the point, it's sort of this thing of once you're getting to the point of, in some companies, having, hundreds, if not thousands of AWS accounts, in practice, you can never design a CIDR setup which is going to work for that. Even just designing a CIDR setup, if you need to deploy a workload to every AWS region, that can be really hard to do without clashes. So for companies which are running those large workloads across many accounts where you need to have various different things connect, it used to require a lot of forward planning to make sure that none of the services with clashing IP ranges interacted with each other. VPC Lattice just gets rid of all of that.
Yep. Network firewall support for IPv6 only subnets. So yeah, it looks like AWS is really sort of doing a lot with IPv6. So, if you want to go down that route, AWS is doing a lot there. So, and
the throughput support for EFS is another one. Like, this is not a bad thing. It does make EFS significantly more powerful, again, if you're running those large workloads with high throughput. It makes it like, that's another one. I bet you that was a customer request somewhere, but your big companies running applications which need really high throughput, that's going to be great for them.
EFS goes Zoom.
Yeah, basically.
Few things in the databases.
Have a databases slide now. That's a new one.
Yeah, so Oracle Apex version 22.2 support for Amazon RDS for Oracle. If you're using
Does anyone still use Oracle databases?
Yes. There are people. Thankfully, I don't have to do RDB support, but
I'm messing with you.
yes. Yeah, GP3 support for RDS custom. So, yeah, if you're doing, I think it's both SQL Server and Oracle RDS custom. So, yeah, update your disks.
I really like Amazon Athena as a tool. View support for external data sources for Amazon Athena is one of those announcements which I think probably not a lot of people are going to be talking about, but in certain scenarios that's going to be something which people can sink many, many hours into to get really, really good results. Like, Athena is not quite a database in the traditional way that you would understand databases. It's a query engine for semi-structured data, basically, is the sort of description that I would use of it. Generally, that's, querying log data or other information which is stored in a flat S3 bucket. View support for external data sources is really cool because it means that you now don't have to pull all of that data in if you want to use Athena to query it.
And some of like I had a look at the list of external data sources, and some of them were interesting, like Azure Data Lake, SAP HANA, various RDBMSs. So, yeah, there's lots of...
Yeah, the SAP one, well, I glazed over the rest of the list, but the SAP one was the one that surprised me. And that's where I'm kind of going, some group of people who are running massive SAP applications are going to spend hours on optimizing this. And they're going to come back with, a whole lot of pretty data.
Yep. And yeah, RDS custom support multi-AZ deployments. So that's sort of interesting if you're doing that. And yeah, RDS for MySQL support lots of read replicas and...
Yeah, not quite as many as the what was it, the 155 cascading read replicas, but hey.
Security.
Guard Duty got, we'll get to the S3 bit in a minute, but Guard Duty got a few upgrades here. It got the EKS upgrade. It now monitors containers running on EKS. Moving right along, Guard Duty now has support for Lambda. That is, I knew that Guard Duty didn't have support for Lambda beforehand, but that's another one where it's like, why didn't it have this to begin with? Guard Duty is a really good tool. If you are running serverless workloads, it just got infinitely more powerful. I do recommend, even if you are running serverless workloads, particularly with this announcement, go use Guard Duty. Guard Duty is a really, really good monitoring and threat detection tool.
And reasonably inexpensive for what it does.
Yeah. Oh yeah, compared to some of the other AWS security services, which are very, very costly, getting the equivalent to Guard Duty without using an AWS service, that's going to cost you, it's a multiplier of more than 2, let's put it that way. Yep. And the 3 new detections for suspicious DNS traffic, it's always good to see it evolving. Yep,
and yeah, S3, so 2 new security best practices. So what was that again? It was S3 block public access and disable ACLs. Both default for new buckets.
Yes, which were the 2 things where the advice was always, unless you're doing something very specific, go turn those on immediately. So
yeah, and well-architected framework, strengthening prescriptive guidance. So not so much change to the well-architected framework, but when you run through it, the info that it gives you Yeah.
Yes, the S3 announcement is the one that everyone has been talking about here. And for good reason. Dev and Ops.
Yeah. So DevOps Guru for RDS support RDS for Postgres. So if you're not really a DBA and you want some help there, that can run that. That can help you find your database issues.
Yeah.
If you are a DBA, I'm sure you'd also be able to find a
Yes,
whole
if
lot of
you're
cool
a
use
DBA,
for it.
you can probably optimize it. You can probably optimize it in your sleep. Policies validation during synthesis time for CDK. That one was, for a while when I worked with CDK, the absolute bane of my existence, that CDK did not do this. It is really, really nice that CDK now does this, because it saves you the time of, particularly if you're deploying something to multiple accounts, multiple regions, what have you. It saves you the time of going, synthesizing it for everything, which if you're synthesizing a template to multiple locations takes a significant amount of time, then discovering that it fails on the deploy for some reason. So at least doing some level of basic validation during the synthesis step.
Yep.
It'll save you time when you've... It means that when you've messed it up, you're going to get told you've messed it up quicker, which is nice.
Code Whisperer is GA, so...
So is Code Catalyst.
Yeah. So try them out. Anything else you want to say on the
No.
DevOps? Other cool stuff.
Hey, it's Simple Workflow Service again. Now supports AWS Private Link. When
in
was
Melbourne?
the last time? When was the last time we even saw Simple Workflow Service on one of these slides?
Now in Melbourne.
Yeah, but before that it would have been several years.
Yep.
Amazon Connect. Matt's not up here. Amazon Connect now enables agents to handle all mediums concurrently. We look forward to the next talk on Amazon Connect.
Yep. Amplify supports push notifications for mobile and cross platforms. So
yeah,
that's
actually if you're doing application development, that's actually a really nice upgrade to Amplify.
Yep.
And yeah, Amazon Connect expanded JSON
Expanded
attribute
JSON.
support.
Yep.
Again, Matt.
Another one for Matt.
Again, Matt, we look forward to the next talk on Amazon Connect in about 3 to 6 months. And
I think
that is it for what's new in AWS this month. Go play with all the cool things.
Yeah. Let's go play.
Yeah, there's plenty of them this month.
But that brings us to our first speaker of the evening. Nathan is the technical counterpart in sales at Datadog, where he brings his product expertise and maps it to customer challenges. Before Datadog, his background was in startup consulting. After having run his own social enterprise in Uganda for 4 years. And I think this talk will be fun. So, once he's set up, I'll hand him the mic.
Hello. Is that actually on? Yep. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm ready. Right, yeah, so as mentioned, my name is Nathan. I'm a sales engineer at Datadog. Effectively, what that means is I help in the sales process, but I get to talk to people like yourself and validate whether we actually will work with your product and your services that you're utilizing. Obviously, in this case, a lot of AWS products. Now, and I get to avoid all the sales stuff. So I don't have to do any of the calling. I just get to say and talk to engineers, to yourself, yes, we work this way, this is how it works, or no, we're not going to be a good fit. Now, my role here is also to walk you guys through the Datadog platform. And with that in mind, I need a bit of help from you. I've kind of done a demonstration no-no and not using our demo environment. And I've spun up an application that I need you all to basically make a bunch of requests to. It's a really simple application, and it's pretty badly made. So we're going to observe it in Datadog, and hopefully watch it fail. I didn't know how many people were going to come tonight, so I don't know if I've scaled it rightly. If it doesn't work, I have a backup plan, but with a bit of luck, it'll work fine. So I have no idea what's just happened there. There we go. Now, once we are ready, let's just see if we've got any sessions coming through. So we'll just monitor that for a second, maybe wake that up to